Hi, everybody. I'm Allison Freyberg, and I'm here today to talk to you about an option for your capstone called the Consultancy. And it comes in a global and domestic form, and talking about the one that's upcoming for January and February. Now, the Business Consultancy Capstone program is a course that we offer for both undergraduate and graduate students in the School of Business and Society. And it's a course that gives you a chance to work in a team of students. This here is a picture of a team of students and the faculty supervisor on a project in Iceland just a few years ago. And it gives you a chance to work on a real consultancy project with a firm either abroad or in Southern California. I'm going to be talking today particularly about the upcoming global option in January and February. Now, for those of you who have capstones coming up, this consultancy capstone is listed as INTB 495 for undergrads, INTB 695 for graduates, and that's for the global option, where you actually do a consultancy project with a firm abroad. In this case, for January, it will be in London, England. Now, the domestic one, that's BUAD 495 or 695, undergraduate, graduate, and that is located in Southern California. And you can complete your academic program with a team consultancy abroad or in Southern California. There is, however, a required application process. You can't self-register for this course. You go through an application process, you have an interview, and if you're qualified, and you're going to be a good candidate, we will put you on a team and you'll do a consultancy project. This also involves pre-engagement class sessions. These will happen in January, where we actually teach you consultancy skills, get you team building, do mock cases, just get you ready to do a real consultancy with a real firm. And then in February, that's when you'll do a 1 week on location with the firm. I'll go into this a little more in a couple of minutes. But then afterwards, you come back after your 1 week and you put together and build a fit for purpose professional consultancy report for the client that we then give to the client. So you have a program that finishes, whether it's your undergraduate or graduate level, with a real professional consultancy report. Here's some recent location of assignments. We've been to Iceland, Ireland, Italy. I tend to teach a lot of the ones in Italy. I'm breaking out this year though, and we're going to go to London, England. And we've been to Portugal, Switzerland, and all over the UK. If you do a domestic one, we've been all over Southern California, Redlands, San Diego, Palm Springs, LA, Carlsbad, Riverside are just some locations that we've been to recently. And you can see pictures here of some of the teams in action. And some of the teams, you see that team on the second photo, they're in the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. So there's a little time to relax at the end of a big work day. Now, what course does the consultancy replace? If you are in the MBA, it would replace your strategy capstone. That's BUAD 696. If you're in the MSOL program, the Organizational Leadership Masters, it would replace Management 636, Leadership Communication. And if you're in the undergraduate program, the BS in Business, it would replace BUSB 485, your capstone Analysis and Integration. One thing to note, in order to be eligible to apply for the consultancy, to take this consultancy instead of your regular capstone here, your the consultancy itself, which in this case occurs January, February 2025, which I believe we call Spring A, even though it's in the middle of winter, Spring A, your regularly scheduled capstone needs to occur within 2 courses of that time slot. So that's why you have to always check with your advisor to make sure you're eligible, and you have to get the okay from them. But as long as you're within 2 courses, you should be fine. Okay, how do you know if you're eligible? As I just said, it must occur within 2 courses of the spring A term. And for the MSOL, it simply replaces your leadership communication course. And the BA in business, BS in business, same thing, 2 courses. You need to contact your student success advisor to obtain confirmation of eligibility. Just email them, call them. It is if you're in the MBA and your last name starts A to J, or the BSB and your last name starts A to M, that is Convy Philadelphia, and there's your information. If you're in the MBA with the last name starting with K to Z, or the BSB with the last name starting with N to Z, or the MSOL, your advisor is Emily Perez Ortiz, and there's her information. You need to contact them first thing. Okay? So take that information down. What are the course requirements? Well, there are 3 phases. The first thing is there's a pre-travel phase, and that happens in January, where we have 3 class meetings. They're held virtually, but in those 3 class meetings, that's when we work on developing consulting skills, how to run a discovery meeting, how to write reports, how to do preliminary findings presentations, how to work as a consulting team, what matters in terms of consulting, how to do an inventory of the skills you have, all those kinds of things. That's what we do in January over 3 class meetings. Then we have the travel phase. Now, for the London Global Consultancy, the on-site engagement will be that first week in February, I believe February 2nd to the 8th, Sunday night to Friday, through Friday. That's when you'll be on site with the client in London. And then the post-travel phase, you have about 3 weeks afterwards to create a fit for purpose professional report on the project that obviously you submit to me and I give to the client as well. One thing to note is during the travel phase, at the end of that week with the client, your team will deliver a preliminary findings presentation where you'll give your preliminary results to the client, get a lot of feedback so that you have a lot to go on for the next 3 weeks to build that final report. Okay, so there's 3 phases. We build up your skills in January. Beginning of February, you go to London. And then by the end of February, that's when you will deliver your final report. And here's some testimony from some students who have done these reports. Now, this is actually a student whose husband came and met her after the consultancy. We were doing it in northeastern Italy, and they went to go visit Rome afterwards. So you can certainly tack on a few days of rest and relaxation, either before or after the consultancy. But do bear in mind that during that engagement week, you are going to be working long, hard hours, and you'll need to really, really focus. What are the consultancy's objectives? You're going to put theory into practice. This is a real project. This isn't theoretical. You're working for a company, you're working on a project for them, you're coming up with solutions and possibilities that have to make sense. You're going to master team-based projects, which is so vital in work environments today, as you know. And you're going to enhance your key business skills. You've learned all these skills in the program. Put them to use. What are the costs? Now, to be honest, this costs more than a regular capstone, but the rewards are invaluable. At least that's what people have told us. So for the domestic consultancy, if you do the one in Southern California, tuition is tuition. You have to pay your tuition. That's entirely separate. For the rest of the components of the consultancy, all the costs come with that engagement week. Now, if it's in Southern California, what you're going to do is you have to, let's say you go to San Diego, your assignment is in San Diego. Your team has to be in San Diego for that week. Usually what teams do is they get an Airbnb or a Verbo, and because then you have a kitchen, you have a place to work. You're not dealing with hotels, which tend to be very expensive these days anyway. Kind of keeps costs down. You have to get there, you arrange your transportation, you arrange everything because you are a real consultancy team. Your faculty supervisor is there for oversight, of course, but you are running the show. So what if you decide to all stay at the Four Seasons? Well, then your costs are going to be very high. If you decide to stay at a modest Airbnb and cook your own meals, your costs are going to be fairly low. Now, with the global consultancy, everything remains the same in terms of accommodations, except obviously you have airfare involved and you'll be required to purchase your airfare to go to London. Good news is airfare to London in February is the cheapest it is all year long. So it's usually not too bad. You probably want to, if you're flying out of LAX, sometimes you can get fares as low as $600. Sometimes they're as much as about 1,000. Obviously, you can pay a lot more. If you're flying out of different airports, it'll be a little more, but usually I would say winter, I usually teach the winter consultancy, and I would say if you're budgeting around $800 round trip, that's a pretty reasonable estimation for London in February. The only other cost associated with it is there is for the global a $500 administration fee. However, in recent years, we have been able to provide you with a leadership scholarship in the amount of $500 that offsets that cost. We have to take the $500 for you from you, but then we provide you with a scholarship that shows up as a credit in your student account in the amount of $500. And actually, last year I was able to provide $800 worth of funding that was credited to student accounts. So that, and I'm confident that will happen again this year, certainly for the $500, possibly for a little more as well to help offset those funds. So, yes, doing a consultancy costs more. Yes, the rewards are immense, as you can see from the testimony of many of our students. Safety, all the rules, regulations, and laws that are in place in our destination are the rules, regulations, and laws that we will follow. All the rules, regulations, and processes that are in place in the University of Redlands are the rules, regulations, and processes that we will follow. Okay, and that's in terms of health and safety. Okay. This is a testimonial from Jeremy, who was on the Iceland trip. So you can read a little bit about that. You can pause to read it if you want. A little testimonial from one of our clients. This was actually a consultancy that I supervised in, get this, Northern Italy in February of 2020. Yes, we got out days before Italy shut down, and it was a great experience, but it was pretty nerve-wracking towards the end as well. And we still work with clients in Northern Italy now. We have great relationships with many organizations in Northeastern Italy. How do I become a student delegate? Okay, you ready to apply? You need to submit application materials if you want to do the global, the one in London. And honestly, if we have enough for more than one team, we'll go to a second location as well. Now, I don't know where that second location will be, but if we have enough qualified candidates for two teams, I'll supervise two teams. Okay. But it's a matter of the number of qualified candidates. We'll get the London team filled, and then we'll see where we go from there. Submit your application materials by October 25th to me. There's my email address. Okay. You need to submit an email that from your student success advisor that confirms you're eligible. I need that. I need to see that. Then I need a cover letter detailing your skills and objectives, a real cover letter, not a chat GPT paragraph. I want details. I want to know why you're doing this. I want to feel your guts and glory here. Why do you want to do this? I need a current resume, a writing sample. And maybe it could be a report from work if you want, or it could be something you wrote for class. Please make it be something you actually wrote. And a letter of recommendation from a professional or academic reference, a supervisor at work, a professor in your program, something like that. I'll get all the, once I get your complete application, I will then schedule right away on the 26th. I'm going to call you and schedule you for a very brief phone interview, maybe half an hour, where I'm going to ask you a few questions about your strengths, your weaknesses, how you like to collaborate, what your what your best skills are, what uh, things like that. I'm not really there to trick you up. I simply want to find out more about you, explain the process a little more clearly to you as well. Okay. And I certainly intend to have teams in place by November 1st. Okay. So global consultancy applications to me by October 25th. Domestic consultancy, if you want to do the domestic consultancy, send your applications to Professor Michael McQueen, and his address is right there. Now, I'm going to, whenever I send this out, I'm going to send it out through Navigate. I will include a PDF of these slides. So these are all links to yeah, ways for you to find out more about the consultancy. There's a blog article, there's a story map, and there's a little video you can watch. Okay. So for more information, there we go. Global, contact me. Domestic, contact Professor McQueen. There's our information. Application process, contact your student success advisor first. Submit your application materials, prepare for your review. I'd love to see you on the global team. Thanks so much.